Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Monday, April 28th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and we've got Perlo back with us on a playoff Monday, ready to break it down with two games tonight. Just a small slate. I'm not used to just this two-game slate. We've had 3-4 games pretty much every day, every night so far, but a little bit more of a spacing out going on this week, and we have just two games tonight, but both of them pivotal games in each of these series. The Battle of Florida resumes. Lightning, Panthers. Florida leading that series 2-1, Game 4, and it's Game 5 for Colorado and Dallas, which is down to a best-of-3. That series tied at 2 games apiece, so we'll get to those games in just a moment. But first, as always, we want to just right off the top always remind everyone tuning in, watching, and listening that we do have our next Patreon-exclusive Stanley Cup Playoffs live betcast coming up this Thursday, May the 1st. Now, we know we have 3 matchups confirmed for Thursday night now, all from the Western Conference, all Game 6s. Vegas at Minnesota, Dallas at Colorado, and now based on the results of last night, we know that Edmonton and LA will play a Game 6 on Thursday night as well. So we have 3 confirmed Game 6 matchups for the betcast on Thursday night. We're only waiting on a potential for one more. And the only other series that could play Thursday night is the Battle of Ontario, Toronto and Ottawa. But obviously, we'll only see Game 6 there if the Senators are able to extend the series in Game 5 tomorrow night. And until that game takes place, Game 5, we're not going to have a start time for you for the betcast, because once they find out if there's going to be a Toronto-Ottawa game or not on Thursday night, that's when they're going to schedule the times for the 3 games we got currently on Thursday. So it's still time to be determined for the start of the betcast on Thursday night. But obviously it will be a Thursday night live betcast, and it's shaping up to be a great one. I mean, 3 Game 6s, they're all going to be elimination games for somebody. Vegas, Minnesota, Dallas, Colorado, and LA, Edmonton. It's going to be a great Thursday night. We're looking forward to it. Make sure you sign up, patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month, and be there for what should be one hell of a betcast with elimination playoff hockey. It doesn't get any better than that. Thursday night, it's going to be absolutely outstanding. Looking forward to that. Yesterday, another crazy day of hockey, playoff hockey, games afternoon and night, quadruple header once again. It started in the afternoon with the St. Louis Blues just running amok for the second straight game on home ice over the Winnipeg Jets. It's funny, Winnipeg had the perfect start. They came out strong, carried the play, was all Jets. They led 1-0. They got the first goal, cashed the Winnipeg first period goal, which is a trend that continues to be strong here in the playoffs. First period goal for the team that lost the previous game in the series. Winnipeg did all the right things. St. Louis could barely get out of their own end in the first period. And then all of a sudden, the tying goal given up by the Jets late in the another late first period goal allowed by Winnipeg to the St. Louis Blues, and it's like they were never the same after that. St. Louis got momentum from that. They got stronger as the game went on. All the time that Winnipeg had the puck and in the O-zone, it kind of flipped towards St. Louis as the second period went on, and then it was a combination of, yes, defensive blunders, which we have not seen for much of the regular season from the Winnipeg Jets, and more shaky, troubling playoff goaltending from Connor Hellebuck. And the questions again, and this terrible run that he's been on, just overall, you look at the numbers, even worse they have been the last 3 years on the road. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, and the Jets fans are all nervous again and questioning, the team again and their goaltender, Connor Hellebuck. Why can't he transfer the regular season over into the playoffs? I don't want to throw it all on him, because there was a lot of problems that the defense made of those St. Louis goals, but the same point, the key to playoff success is timely saves from your goaltender, and you weren't getting them from Connor Hellebuck in those 2 games, and as a result, now the Blues have all the momentum. You're 2-2. Now, I'll say this about the Edmonton LA series in just a bit. It's not time for full-blown panic yet with Winnipeg, but you missed a golden opportunity to put the foot on the throat of your opponent and probably put them behind the 8 ball to the point where you could have ended the series. And now, yes, you have a strong home ice to go back to. And, we're going to talk about LA's home ice and how incredible it's been. Winnipeg was awesome at home, too. And they haven't lost at home yet in this series. So there's no need to panic if you're Winnipeg. But, boy, the momentum has shifted, and you better hope you get Game 5 if you're the Winnipeg Jets at home, or else you are definitely playing with fire in this series. It was a very quiet day from other than Connor. I thought Connor had a pretty good day, but there wasn't much going on from some of the other key forwards up front for the Jets in that loss yesterday. That's concerning. It's definitely a Winnipeg team that has got to do a better job on the power play and finishing chances. And again, just clean up the defensive mistakes. You need more saves from your goaltender at the end of the day. So that series 2-2 going back to Winnipeg. Carolina, New Jersey. Carolina just stomped on New Jersey early. Got the quick goal. There's another first period goal for the losing team of the previous game, Carolina there. And it looked like Carolina was just going to roll the victory in that game. But all of a sudden, and should have known, and what's funny is Carolina, I think, had gone up 3-0 early in the second. And I'm like, you know what? It's a beautiful day. I got to go for a walk. I got to just, I'm not going to get much time to get out and have fresh air and all that. So I chose early in the second period when Carolina went up 3-0 because I said, this game's over. It's time to, get some fresh air, go for a walk. And I do that every day usually when the weather's good. So I picked that time to do it. And then I come back, which was about like an hour later. I come back and all of a sudden I look at turn the game on again. And holy shit, Freddie Anderson got injured. Shocker. Couldn't believe it. Well, of course I could. But yes, he got injured again in the collision, obviously, with Timo Meier, who just happened to score a goal right after that once Pyotr Kochetkov entered the game. But yeah, Freddie Anderson injured. And it wasn't like he got absolutely steamrolled. There was definitely some contact, but I've seen worse contact with the goaltender, harder contact with the goaltender than that. I think it's just his body parts that are made out of cotton candy and plastic at this stage of his career that just can't handle it, in my opinion. And as a result, he gets hurt again. Kochetkov comes in. And I was worried once I saw Kochetkov in because how many times have we talked about on this show how he struggled down the stretch, and he gave up that quick goal, and it was 3-2 just like that. And New Jersey was back in it, but he shut the door the rest of the way. Give him credit. Now they defended well in front of Kochetkov. That was a big part of it, but that's as close as New Jersey would get with that 3-2 goal. Carolina puts it away late and ends up winning 5-2 and takes a commanding 3-1 series lead. Just too much to overcome for the Devils, in my opinion. Even with Anderson out, Kochetkov has proven he can be capable. Now, I didn't like the way he finished the season for the Carolina Hurricanes, but he did play well after giving up the Meier goal yesterday. And for New Jersey, when you have no Brendan Dillon, you have no Luke Hughes, and now you have no Johnny Kovacevic, even though they have gotten Siegenthaler back, that is just a lot to ask for as far as injuries and attrition on the blue line. And I don't think they can overcome it. And it's probably now a question of when, not if, the series ends and Carolina moves on to the second round. Before we get to the night games, we'll just pause there and get Alex and Perlo's thoughts on the 2 day games. Alex, Winnipeg, St. Louis, Carolina, New Jersey. Your thoughts coming out of those 2 games?
I mean, Connor Hellebuck's road struggles. That is the main story now for Winnipeg. We wondered heading into the series, can he, he had overall struggles, and then he looked fantastic at home. And then you look back at the home road splits, and then you see, oh, the numbers are worse when he's away from Winnipeg. And that has continued in game 3 and 4, and that's given St. Louis some life now. So it's a pivotal spot for them moving forward in game 5 to go back home. Can you get home Hellebuck back? Can he regain his confidence? And they need a dominant victory. They can't have a 3-2, 4-3 overtime win. They need a big-time dominant margin victory to get their confidence back, knowing that they have to at least go back on the road one more time, and to swing things in their favor. So that's the big look for that look in that one. In Carolina, New Jersey, like I said, it just looks like Carolina is just too much for this Devils team. The injury bug just hit the Devils at the wrong time. We're talking all about in the chat the different things. You hate to see that, and this happens to a playoff team. It seems like every year, it's just a team that just runs out of steam, and the bodies can't stay healthy enough, and they're gonna have to just bow out quietly. So, like I said, it's a matter of when, not if.
No doubt. Perlo, how did the 2-day games yesterday? Talk about them.
Yeah, the Jets, I mean, worse than I can't say it's worse, but just as bad as Hellebuck struggling, it seems like the players are worried about his struggling. And they're playing as if they're playing tentative. The Jets are playing tentative. And that's not a team. I was going over the roster in my head yesterday with the Jets. And I'm like, how are they doing this? Because really, the roster isn't something that jumps out at you as a roster that's going to blow people away. Especially without Ehlers in the lineup. It's really got to be the sum of the parts type team. And if they're playing tentative, which I felt that they were, and quite often a team will do that when they're a little bit shaky with what their goaltender is going to be like, they're pretty easy fodder because there's not guys there except for Connor and, Scheifele who can be shut down because there's really not much below them that scare the opposition to score. And that's what I saw yesterday. And unfortunately, I had Winnipeg yesterday. It was the only game that I didn't do well on. But, yeah, like Alex said, going home, first of all, they got to play like Hellebuck is Hellebuck. And Hellebuck has to be Hellebuck. That's the two things that have to happen there when they get home. They got to play aggressive. They got to play their strong two-way hybrid man-on-man. What's great about Winnipeg is they can switch from man-on-man to 1-2-2 to whatever throughout the game, and they can and do it very well. But if you're playing Timmins, none of that works. So they got to play as if Hellebuck is a beast and get back to their game again when they get back home, or it's going to be a rough series for them for sure. As far as Carolina, I had Carolina in regulation. Team total over 2.5 and 3.5, so I did really well there.
Good stuff. I should have been more aggressive. I had Carolina to score in the first period, but I was leaning team total over, and
yeah. I mean, I can understand. It's kind of a Jersey spot, like they're definitely going to be playing a desperate brand of hockey. But sometimes, you look at the defense that they have there, and the injuries that they have, and sometimes desperation just isn't enough. And I didn't think it was going to be enough in that game, so I did take Carolina. I think Carolina wins this one out. And I feel for Jersey fans because, they've been building for a long time. And to get in a position where you got your youth that are at the right age now where you can start doing something in the playoffs and have all these injuries hit, it sucks. It sucks. And that's just the way it is. I don't think they're going to be able to bail themselves out here in Carolina win their way through. In that one for sure.
And at night, obviously, we had 2 games. There was another great atmosphere with the Capitals and the Canadians. And it was another entertaining, exciting hockey game. It started out a little slower scoring, but it was still a very entertaining game. It was tense. We weren't sure what the goaltending situation was going to be, but it ended up being Logan Thompson and Jakob Dobish. And Washington, it took until the second period, unfortunately, for that first period of the first goal of the first period bet. Unfortunately, it took for the second, and that's the one game yesterday where the first period goal for the losing team failed to cash was Washington. Every other team it did yesterday, Winnipeg, Carolina, and LA. But they did get the first goal. But what a response by Montreal. It was really great. I'm telling you what, Demidov's play that he made on the first goal to Slavkovsky, that was the best moment of the series from him. Power play tied it. Then we saw Montreal take the lead late in the period. Another power play goal by Cole Caulfield. It had physicality. Again, obviously we didn't have the crazy scene like in Game 3 with Anderson and Wilson scrapping on the bench, but we had a couple of big time and in some instances questionable hits, one that gathered a lot of fervor and opinion. And boy, don't we know that after last night with some of those hits, how people felt about it. With Tom Wilson hit in particular in the neutral zone on Carrier. That hit, and the Ovechkin hit was, and you could say, should they have been penalties? The Ovechkin hit too on Jake Evans, the Wilson hit on Alex Carrier. All I know is I've watched hockey for 30 years. Alex probably damn close to that too. I'm sure Perlo as well. Those hits would not have even gotten anybody to bat an eyelash 30 years ago.
Nope.
You just say, that's a fucking hard ass, great hit. Yeah, bring more of that. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But look, it's a different era now. We're sensitive to contact that comes even close to the head area. let alone actually targeting out right on the kabong at this in this era, in 2025 NHL hockey. That's just what it is. And the reason for that is, and yeah, you could say it's gotten a little soft. There's no denying that,
Yep.
no disputing that. But it's also real, legit concern and fear and just petrified of CTE and head trauma situations that have, been detrimental to the lives of a lot of people that have played the game. And you're worried more and more about that. And there is real concern with that. So it's this very uncomfortable, very, very delicate tightrope walk, act, and balance between, come on, that's just a hard ass fucking hit. Let it go. Let it ride here. Nothing wrong with that. Or, gosh, you could really, create brain injuries and head injuries and trauma and CTE for this guy that could last his entire life and put his future and his livelihood at a bit of risk. That's the issue. And that's the kind of the balancing act and the conundrum we go through back and forth with hits like that. And why some people are on the side of bring more of that. That's just a good fucking playoff hit. And it's unfortunate that it resulted in, an injury like that. But at the same point in time, it's a great hit. And then there's other people that say, well, you know what? I've seen people's lives and former players' lives destroyed by head trauma and head hits that they've taken in their careers, and we can't have it at all. So it's just one of these. It's one of these. Where do you sit? What side of the fence are you on when it comes to stuff like that? But it was that was definitely a big moment in the game. Washington, this was a big test too for Washington. 2-1 down. How would they respond on the road? They get the tying goal right after, of course, the Wilson hit on Carrier, which was what made Montreal fans even more upset about it, is that it led to a goal right after for Washington because Carrier was taken right out of the play. But it was tied 2-2. And then at Mangiapane, Dobish, maybe, I'd like to see him stop that, but it was a pretty good shot. He could have stopped it, though, in my opinion. Dobish, he didn't. Washington goes up 3-2, and then they put it away with a couple empty net goals, including the villain of the night, Tom Wilson. It's like it had to happen, him scoring in Montreal, and a 5-2 win. We end up cashing the full game over because I was on the over by Fecta there in that game. So Washington now a 3-1 series lead, and you got to imagine the uphill road for the Montreal Canadiens is going to be pretty tough now in this series, down 3-1 with it going back but to the Washington for Game 5. And then we wrap up the night with Edmonton, LA, and another classic, another great. This series has just been, get the defibrillators out. It's been that kind of series. It's been crazy swings. It's been back and forth. It's had everything, physicality, intensity, great goals, great, even at times, great goaltending, and at times good defending. But it's been really that kind of series where it's just been goals galore. Power plays have been lethal. Kings for the whole series pretty much, but now Edmonton's power play starting to heat up. And LA, for the second game in a row, has multiple leads, has a third period lead, and cannot close the door. And I'm watching that game go on, and I'm saying, what are we doing here, guys? You're sitting back a bit too much again. How did the Kings get all those goals in Game 1? How did the Kings win Game 2? How did they have leads in Game 3 and Game 4? They took the play to Edmonton. They were the aggressor. They were on the front foot. Why the hell now, in 2 straight games in Edmonton, has this team just sat back and tried to protect the house? It's the same shit they tried last year, and it got their ass beat by Edmonton. And it's the same shit they tried 2 years ago that got their ass beat. And then I watch overtime, and I'm thinking, these guys can't even get out of their own zone. What the hell is happening here? This is a team that dominated Game 1, that controlled most of Game 2, controlled extended stretches on the road, and we've harped all year about LA is not the same team on the road, that controlled most of Game 3 and Game 4 on the road. How can they not even get out of their own zone? How is Edmonton swarming them this much and just dominating this much in overtime? What were the shots in overtime? 33-13 or something like that? Or from the third period on? It was just insane, the swing. And overtime, it was all Edmonton. Other than a chance here or there that the Kings had. And Darcy Kemper, this poor bastard, I mean, he did everything he could in the overtime. He was unbelievable in overtime to keep that overtime going for as long as it did. But to see LA just go, and I'm thinking, I'm watching this unfold, and I can't figure it out. I'm thinking, Why the hell is this LA playing like this? Why do they look like they have nothing left in the tank? Why do they look like they have no legs? And then I find out going into the game, Jonathan Davis posted it, and then I saw other people post it online, and I didn't even think to do this at the time, and maybe I should have, or I would have gotten my answer right away. I look at the fucking ice time chart for the LA Kings last night, and I'm beside myself at what I saw. I could not believe what I saw. I saw a defenseman who was put into the lineup and in the lineup in this game play for 2 minutes. 2 fucking minutes. 2:26 in a game that almost went 80 minutes as far as actual game time. I saw another defenseman, Brant Clark, play 11 minutes. So you played 2 of your 6 defensemen for a combined 13 minutes. And I'm seeing Doughty and Edmondson and all these guys on the blue line playing almost 40 minutes on the ice last night in that game. I see a one line wiped out by a coaching staff that decided we're not playing you. And we're just turning this into what? 3-line, 9 forwards, and 4 defensemen game in the third period and overtime. Kuzmenko, I know he's not a great defensive player. I get it. I get he can have issues, and you're trying to protect a lead. But him getting benched for 12, 13 minutes in a third period, the guy's actually been a big reason why your offense is making mincemeat out of the Oilers in this series and why your power play's been good. I couldn't believe it. It's absolute coaching malpractice by Jim Hiller and the LA Kings coaching staff last night. No fucking wonder they can't skate in the overtime. No wonder they got no gas in the tank. No wonder it looks like they're stuck in mud. You got a guy in an 80-minute hockey game just about, one of your defensemen playing 2 goddamn minutes. No wonder people are burnt out. No wonder they're tired. No wonder they've hit the wall. No wonder they have nothing left. It's absolutely absurd that Jim Hiller decided that's the approach we're going to take. That's not, you know why Craig Berube won a Stanley Cup in St. Louis? Because you know what he's preached over the years and why I think Toronto's got a chance to have similar success in the long run? Because he and a lot of great coaches that win in the postseason, they believe in every player making a difference on the team, playing all 4 lines. All 12 forwards make a difference. All 6 defensemen contribute to the winning cause. Guess Jim Hiller doesn't know a fucking thing about that. I guess not.
Not at all.
It's mind-boggling. And then I got to listen to him in the post-game press conference when Dennis Bernstein, who's been a long time Kings reporter, say, do you have to change your approach in the third period? And he gets snippy. He says, next question. You know, we wouldn't be talking about this. And yeah, Quentin Byfield had a tough fail to clear the zone. I get it. And then, of course, Edmonton tied it right after that. I get that. So maybe we are talking about the Kings winning the hockey game if that doesn't happen. But your approach has stunk. You did try to play too conservative. You went into shell mode 2 games in a row with a lead on the road. You deserve to be called out for that. And credit to DB for doing that. And he gets all bent out of shape. It's like reminds me of the Fargo movie. Great movie. Still one of my all-time favorites. Francis McDormand to William H. Macy. Sir, you have no call to get snippy with me. I'm just doing my job. That's what Dennis Bernstein was doing there. He's just doing his job and asking a legit question. And to think that this guy gets snippy about a legit question when he coached and managed his bench like a fucking moron is mind-boggling to me. Absolute mind-boggling to me. That is malpractice. That is some of the worst player ice time deployment in a big-time Stanley Cup playoff game that I have ever seen. And I've been watching this sport for 30-plus years. Awful stuff. And I said before the season, and the Kings have had a great season. Better than I thought. But I thought the one thing that could hold them back was this guy, Jim Hiller, as a head coach. I did not view him as a big-time head coach. And I thought they went on the cheap, making him the permanent head coach. After they fired McClellan, he made him the interim. And I thought, well, he's just the interim. You got to go out and get somebody else. They didn't. They made Jim Hiller the permanent guy. And I said, I don't know if you can win with this guy. After last night, I'm convinced you can't win with this guy. That is an absolute abomination last night. And if I'm a Kings fan and I've seen the reaction on social media, you deserve to be upset. You deserve to be pissed off. That's just butchering your team's chances. Thank goodness the series is still just 2-2. You have home ice advantage now that it's down to a best of 3. And you're home, and you've been phenomenal at home all season. But my goodness, these 2 games, you had a real chance to put this team, this Edmonton team that has had your fucking number for years now, to bed. And you've given them hope. You've given them life by just asinine coaching, asinine bench management, and asinine approach with leads in 2 straight games. Unacceptable. The floor is yours, Alex.
Very well said. Very well said. You've covered everything as far as it goes with LA. This is just an abomination. You cannot have these kinds of breakdowns happen in game 3 and 4 of the playoffs when you have a 2-0 lead. You can have this happen in the middle of January, perhaps, but you certainly cannot afford to have this. And we talked about it through the playoff preview. We've talked about it for the last 2 months of the regular season about how the depth has really improved. We've seen so many people on this team take steps up and forward. Like you said, we weren't really believing in the Kings. I didn't believe in the Kings. I had money on the Kings missing the playoffs this year. Like you said, Jim Hiller was the reason of that. We didn't know what are we going to get from him. What is he really going to get out of this full team? They got to this point, playing well, playing great, and just completely abandoning their structure. Like I said, you have to keep pressing. So many teams sit back in the playoffs, not just LA. There's so many teams that get so comfortable, especially on the road. How the fuck you get that comfortable on the road? You should have a 4 or 5 goal lead before you get truly comfortable in a road game. But we see so many teams sit back and abandon their press. You see it in other sports too. And then all of a sudden, you wonder why the game's tied. Yeah, because you were playing with the puck in the opposite zone all night. And now every chance, and you talk about it, it's funny because Hiller mentions it right at the beginning. And he says, well, we had a shot in an empty net and it went wide by this much. And if you hit that and it doesn't go in. I've seen the LA Kings specifically miss so many fucking empty nets in the last 4.5 years because they want to play this pinball shit along the boards. Maybe if you worked on that for 5 or 10 fucking minutes, get an empty net goal, you'd be up 3-1 at least in the series. So that pissed me off rip. And then when you said, yeah, you get to the later part when Bernstein asked the question that he wants to start ripping their heads off. Really? You the one making the big fucking mistakes, and now you want to start that. See, that's how you know he fucked up. That's him realizing in the moment that he fucked up because now he wants to deflect on everybody else.
And that's him rattled clearly too.
Oh
that's
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So it's just crazy. Hopefully, like you said, they can just throw this one out, and hopefully the guys aren't getting rattled. If Hiller's rattled, then all right, then that'll probably be the death knell for them at some point sooner or later. If it ain't this series, and I'm incensed to somebody who has Kings to win the West, Kemper, Conn Smythe, a whole lot of fucking money to add to this team, but they're probably going to fall off a cliff at some point, if not the first round, second or third round, because they have an idiot who's coaching. So. Yeah, it's problematic, but maybe the players can at least push through because you have 3 games, 2 out of 3 left, and you're at home. You have the home ice where you've played extremely well. Hopefully the players can at least keep their composure down the stretch in spite of what their coach has been doing.
Here's the thing about this approach. If you're playing the Jacques Lemaire Minnesota Wild when they first got the franchise, or you're playing the Devils of the 90s who play a very slow-paced, deliberate style, maybe you can handle playing just 9 forwards in a playoff game, or 4D, 4.5 defensemen. You can't do it when you're playing in the Edmonton Oilers with the two of the best players in the sport in the world, and the pace and the exhaustion physically it takes to try to defend a team like that. You can't cut your bench down and shorten your bench to that degree. This is fucking ridiculous. I'm looking at it right now. I get even more mad all over again. Samuel Hellenius last night, I know he's down the lineup, bottom 6, 1 minute and 44 seconds of ice time, 3 shifts the entire game. Don't even put him in the lineup. Make him a healthy scratch then. That's just a mockery of what the fuck you're trying to do. Seriously, 1 minute and 44 seconds of ice time. Jacob Moverare, the defenseman, 2 minutes and 26 seconds, which I mentioned, 3 shifts, which is awful. Brant Clark, who I think deserved a lot. Brant Clark's a guy that can move the puck and lug the puck. You couldn't get the puck out of your own zone. You couldn't find a shift for him in overtime. More than 11 minutes, 58 seconds in the entire game. You couldn't find more time for him than that. Jeff Malott, who was part of that fourth line, 2 minutes, 27 seconds, 5 shifts. If you don't trust players in critical times in the hockey game, don't fucking play them at all. Don't even put them in the lineup. Make them a healthy scratch. And the coaches that win at this time of year, like I said, they say it all the time. Every player has to make an impact and play. We need all 4 lines. We need all 12 forwards. Every player on this team has a role. Every player on this team makes a strong impact. Defense, forwards, all of them. All 12 up front, all 6 on the blue line. They all matter. Someone needs to get that fucking process drilled into this numbnuts' head. And one thing I found out too, and Perlo will finally get your thoughts here after this. We found out after that game last night that in a world with the great Scotty Bowman, Joel Quenneville, Paul Maurice, Roger Nielsen, you go on down the list, Barry Trotz, we do not have that in one James Andrew Hiller. We do not. After last night. Perlo, have at it.
Well, definitely that's pretty crazy what you're talking about, but I'll even go one further here. And I was saying this before the game. How the hell do you bench Spence? Spence is a million times better than Edmondson. Million times. Gavrikov is a
tough series. He's a veteran, I get it, but Spence, I don't think is the biggest issue.
Overall, this year he's better. Just period. End of story. The guy plays him like he's some sort of top four. He's not a top 4 defenseman anymore. Not even close. So if you're gonna do that, at least put the right guys in, then do that. I don't understand why he did it, but I know that LA had struggles on the road this year because of their bottom 4. And one of the big reasons was Edmondson was playing way too many minutes. And so I love Clarkey, good kid. He's going to be a great, but he's not there yet. And, it's difficult. That's where their biggest struggle has been, especially on the road. But is this the answer to the question? No, absolutely not. Because like you're saying, even your good defensemen now might as well be bad defensemen at the end of a game or an overtime, as we saw there, because they're dead. Any player that's dead on their feet, which they were, is going to be bad now. It's a bad defenseman now. So you got to play all your players, just like you're saying. But I don't even think he's very good at identifying talent, identifying who's good at what. Because you don't, if you're going to bench anybody, you bench Edmondson. You never bench Spence in that. So in other words, he just weakened it even further. Morbrère is a gamer, but he's no Spence. Like he weakened his team right from the get-go and then beat the crap out of them by overplaying their top players. You got me, man. I don't know. I'd love to hear his logic behind it. And obviously he won't give it because he wouldn't even answer a simple question about
you can't give it or won't give it because there is no fucking logic to it.
Yeah.
Zero.
You're not going to get any answer to it whatsoever. So now we got an LA team that's actually, it appears, has improved greatly despite their coach. Imagine if they had a really good coach there. I like you was questioning why they kept on going with Hilliard because I didn't see any great when he took over. I didn't see great improvement last year from Hilliard. Was a head scratcher to me why they kept him in. I've heard from people who I wouldn't want to mention here that it was like he's very close to some people up top or something like that, and that's part of it. And maybe there's a bit of a old boys school there, like too cliquey type of group when they all hang out too much together. I know that because on the other side of the rink, you got the Edmonton Oilers where we saw that for how long? And, so, and that's an Edmonton Oilers thing to do what they did. What LA did is an Edmonton Oilers thing to do. That's why I said nobody wins a road game in this series. And I still got it at plus 6,000 because I assure you, if Edmonton gets up in LA, if they are on the road, they're going to do the exact same thing that LA just did, except he's not going to overplay his defenseman. He just doesn't have very many good ones. and they're going to come back and win the game or something like that. But yeah, it is a head scratcher. I was trying to hold out and give the guys some credit. I thought, Blakey and those guys, they're smarter than me probably. They know their guys, but over the season and what you saw last night, I don't get it because he's not a good coach for sure.
They don't trust their young players, Jonathan. That's true. There's no denying that. They clearly don't. They clearly don't. But you have to understand, once that game gets to overtime and you see the ice time just piling up, like 30 minutes, on all your top guys, like 36 minutes for Edmondson. That's ridiculous. And he's not a young chicken either. This guy
Clark on fresh legs is better than a lot of their better players on shaky legs. So
30, and Doughty's a warrior, but my gosh, 32 for him. Mikey Anderson, 34. It's just there's just such a huge drop off. Gavrikov, 31, and then you got one of your defensemen 2 minutes. I don't care if you don't trust them or you don't think they can play or you think they're going to screw up. This is about attrition, and this is about guys wearing down, and a situation where live legs. Fresh legs in overtime matter. You couldn't get the damn puck out of your fucking zone the whole overtime.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, man. Put some live legs in there. Put Moverare in there. Put Hellenius in there. They're fresh, and maybe they could get the puck out of the zone and just give you a little energy when you need it because you had none of it in overtime.
Now you got more games to play too. You just killed your guys, and now you're going to 7 games. So
just a botch job in terms of how you manage your bench. Simple as that. And now the LA Kings, they better damn well win Game 5 or they're in big trouble. You got home ice for a reason. You got to somehow park these 2 just gut-wrenching losses in a row and find a way to bounce back. We'll see if they can do that. All right, let's move on to tonight. We got 2 games on Monday. We'll begin with Tampa Bay and Florida. Florida minus 145 home favorites, 5.5 the total. Florida leading the series 2-1, even though the road team has been victorious in all 3 games so far here in the Battle of Florida. Florida got the first 2 in Tampa, and what a response by the Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 3. After falling behind early 1-0, that was all that the Florida Panthers would get against Andrei Vasilevsky. 5 unanswered goals for the Lightning and a 5-1 win in Game 3 to get back into the series, and we'll see if they can build on that and notch themselves another road win here tonight against the Florida Panthers. Florida, though, I'm sure we'll have something to say about that. Of course, it looks like, yes, Matthew Tkachuk avoided suspension for the hit on Gensel, and Brandon Hagel returns from his 1-game suspension for Tampa Bay tonight for his hit on Alexander Barkov back in Game 2. So it looks like pretty much full lineups up front for both teams. Aaron Ekblad returned from suspension. And isn't it crazy, right? You get Aaron Ekblad back in Game 3 after you won Game 1 and you won Game 2 and you lose 5-1, and you think you're a better team, especially on the blue line with Aaron Ekblad back. But we say that all the time. You bring back one of your best players, it's like it's not always it's often a bad thing for one game. So you would expect Florida and certainly Ekblad to feel a little more comfortable here in this game. Of course, now with Brandon Hagel back, I think John Cooper is going to be able to go with the lines he's, what you would expect. Gensel, Point, Kucherov together, top line. Hagel, Cirelli, Gonsalves, the second line. Geeky, Gordon, Paul, the third line. Girgensson, Glendening, and Chafee on the fourth line for the Tampa Bay Lightning here tonight. I'm on Florida to score in the first period, obviously. It's the angle. Loser of the previous game, scoring a goal in the first period. And you know what? I've been using the same approach in that I'll bet it small pregame and I'll lay the big price because I just want them to score 1 goal. I don't want to ask them to score 2, 3, or 4. Just get me the 1. So I'm okay laying the price that you're being asked to, minus 160 in that range, minus 160 to minus 165. So what I do when it gets above minus 150 is I will bet it pregame at minus 165 small, and then we'll wait a couple minutes into the first period. And if Florida still hasn't scored, we'll add to that position of Florida to score a goal in the first period at a better price and a cheaper price a few minutes into this game. The total, it barely creeped over the total in Game 3, all thanks to Tampa Bay, including a couple of late goals that they scored to make it 5-1. Will it go that way again here? That remains to be seen, but I will sprinkle. I will say this about the playoffs. Winnipeg, St. Louis yesterday. an over. Carolina, New Jersey yesterday, an over. Washington, Montreal yesterday, an over. For the full game I'm talking about. Edmonton, LA yesterday, full game, over. 4-0 to the over in the full games, and the weekend was really good for overs. And thanks to Jonathan Davis for all these stats, and it's a good time to mention these. He did a great job putting this together. They're all great numbers to be aware of as far as Stanley Cup playoffs are concerned from a betting standpoint. The teams following a loss have scored the first goal in the game in 16 of the 23 games so far. 4 games in this year's Stanley Cup playoffs have been scoreless after 20 minutes. We've talked about that angle. All 4 games have gone over 1.5 in the second period. We've talked about that for a while now on this show, how awesome, automatic it seems that has been. 21 of the 31 games have seen the winning team cover the puck line, so win by 2 goals or more. Favorites are 20 and 11, and those 20 favorites that won have covered the puck line 14 of the 20 times. Of the 11 wins by an underdog, 7 times that underdog has won by 2 goals or more and covered, I guess, an alternative puck line, -1.5. Home teams 21 and 10 in the playoffs and 19 and 12 to the over full game so far in the playoffs. So great stats there from JD, just to get everyone kind of a debriefer, if you will, on how things have gone from a betting standpoint. So I will take a shot over 5.5 here, and I'm going to take the draw too. I just feel like, hey, I think this could be an OT game. I expect Tampa to be desperate and play strong again to avoid a 3-1 deficit, but you're definitely going to get a response from Florida, after losing 5-1. So I expect this to be a really hard-fought, well-played game on both sides, and I think a real chance for overtime. And like I said, Florida goal in the first period. Definitely going to be on that. And one lineup change I should note for Florida, Samoskevich, the young kid who's been a little bit of an offensive force for them at times. He's coming out, and AJ Greer is coming in. And AJ Greer is a fucking shit disturber. He's a hard play. He's definitely a player that's he plays hard, can chip in a little bit offensively, but he's physical and he gets in your face. He can scrap every now and then, drop the gloves. Like Paul Maurice is putting him in because they know the emotion level dropped a bit in Florida in game 3, and trying to get it back up. Let's stir the pot again here in game 4, and let's get that emotion level back. And a guy like AJ Greer can definitely help that. Alex, what do you think here? Game 4, big one in the Battle of Florida.
I think we're going to get the most exciting game we've seen so far in this series. And it's not saying a whole lot based on how game 1 and 2 went, but game 3 was a hell of a contest late. And I think that momentum carries over. But I got to get the old not so fast, my friend, to that Florida to score the goal in the first period. I actually like Tampa Bay to score first here. I'm going with them first goal in first period, plus 155. This is a veteran team. And if Tampa Bay is going to make this a real battle and come back, they know the importance of, like we always say, being on the road, taking the crowd, taking the air out of that building, getting a goal early. Like I said, they know it's going to be frenetic. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to get very physical. I think we're going to see the refs get involved in this game. We're going to see a lot of 4-on-4s like we've been seeing in a couple other series. So this is one I definitely would be looking for the over, but I can wait and grab that in game, try and grab some plus money with that 5.5. But I like Lightning to score first goal in first period, plus 155. And I'm also taking a shot with Lightning plus 125. Of course, they win here. That puts me into my 6-7 game split as well. So it's kind of looking out for my futures with that as well. But at a plus price, I expect this veteran Lightning team to come out, guns blazing, get a goal early, be able to control the pace and win this game and even it up.
All right, so there we go. Alex liking the road team dominance in this series to continue. If you were to ask me right now, I don't know if I'm probably not going to bet Tampa pregame, but I know that if you forced me to make a bet pregame at this price, I would take Tampa Bay as well. I just don't feel comfortable laying minus 145 against, even though I know Florida is going to play a lot better tonight, I'm not comfortable laying minus 145 against this kind of team or John Cooper in a spot where, on the road, with the way they played the last game. So, Florida was closer to minus 115, minus 120. Maybe I'm a little interested then in taking Florida, but not close to minus 150, like it is right now. Maybe in game, I bet Florida, but not at this price. Perlo, what do you think here? Tampa Bay, Florida.
Well, outside of the Edmonton Oilers, I consider right now, because I'm the type of person that plays for players, and I love Matthew Tkachuk, and I've been a fan of Florida. I like a lot of their players on their team, so I'm kind of a Florida fan. And so I watch them a lot, and I pay attention to them a lot, especially Paul Maurice. That in that Tampa game, I don't like to say they gave up, but they sort of kind of went, okay, we don't have it today. We don't have it today, so we're not going to kill ourselves today. That's all right. And I think that's going to change today. I think Florida is going to come out balls out today. Not just come out balls out, but they're going to play a game that is much different than the game they played then. They're going to take notes, and they're going to see, okay, where did they surprise us? And I think Paul Maurice is probably – I love Cooper. Don't get me wrong. Cooper's fantastic too. This is a great series with two of the best coaches that of this generation. It's fantastic. But I think you're going to see a serious adjustment here. However, which has me on the Panthers. However, like you, I don't like the -140. I don't like that either. So I'm probably going to find a way in game to be able to bet it if I bet it at all. But I think we're all going to get something in the first period here, because I like both teams to score first period. Is what I like in this. I think Alex is correct. I think Tampa is going to come out. They're not going to come out soft here. They know that this is a road game that they could possibly take advantage of if they get on them early. It's going to be really important for them to do the same thing. But I think Florida is the same. And it's going to be, I wouldn't say it's going to be back and forth, but I do think it's going to be one hell of a battle there in the first period. So I like both teams to score. I like draw first period, and I like correct score 1-1 first period. That's what I like in this one. And then after that, it can go either way. I personally think Florida over time will wear down Tampa in this one and end up taking it. So I went a little bit of a split here. I don't think you can shoo the overs in this series. They just find a way to go over. It just seems that way. Whether it's Cooper pulling the goaltender early, or something happens where it ends up going over. One of the reasons I think is both teams like to really beat each other. If they can, they want to pot that third and fourth goal to pound it down their throat. These guys don't like each other. So I'm going to go with Florida team total over 2.5, juicy -175 for a bit. And I'm going to take the 3.5 as well at +140. I'm going to put a little bit on both. I'm pretty sure I'll hit the 2.5. If I hit the 3.5, then I'll be up quite a bit. I also got a little on over 5.5 at -2.0. I know this is probably the game where I think a lot of people are going to say they're going to be. If you think they're both going to be tentative in this one, then I think it will be an under. Like Alex is saying, though, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think there's going to be desperation on both sides to get this one today, whether it be Florida, who is. Of course, there's been a lot of talk about how they've gone through to the finals the last 2 years. This is not a team that wants to be going to a Game 7. Or Tampa, who knows that and wants to get this to at least a Game 7. They want to take, so for obvious reasons, they want this win right now because they don't want to go back home 3-1. So I think it's going to be a very desperate game, and I think it's going to be a tight game, and I think it's going to be a tight over. I think I said the same thing about Dallas, Colorado that last time they played, and I took the draw. This is going to be like a tight over, and it was 3-3. So maybe a correct score 3-3. Maybe we got a draw and Florida takes it. Something of that nature. That's what I see here. But I do think Florida is going to score some in this one. Whether they're down, whether they lose or win, I think they're going to score in this one.
And one approach you can take too, because I know Ian, like you said, you're going off of just the trend as far as betting team that lost to score a goal in the first period. But if you feel like Florida can score in the first early and get that, and maybe they get that goal first off, but Tampa's showing some pressure, you could pre-bet first period team to score last goal, and you're getting the same prices for a team to score first goal in there, +155 for Tampa or +115 for Florida. So that's something that I hadn't thought about that. But once Perlo was saying about liking the 1-1 draw and liking the first period draw and 1-1 correct score, that's a way you could approach that, because oftentimes in the playoffs we do see, especially if that road team does jump out, how many times do we see that home team press or maybe get a late power play right toward the end of the period? and you get plus 115 pregame if you like that for Florida, rather than trying to grab minus 130 something in game. So it's just food for thought.
I wanted to mention, I got a lot of props here again.
I'll tell you what, Perlo, just to jump in, I'll tell you right now, the best bet in this game, it's not a side, it's not a total, it's not anything I've set up to this point. It's Sam Bennett to get a point.
Yeah,
plus
that's true.
Bet 365.
Still plus,
you just
plus
bet
money.
That and just don't even think twice about it.
That was like betting Dano last night. Yeah. Which I should have did instead of trying to go for the gusto and try to get over 2, but over 2 points for. But anyways, they mentioned it in the chat. I want to mention it here. Ekblad over 1.5 blocks is plus 100 tonight. I mean, and that's because he's been back. He hasn't been back for a while, so it's a perfect time to get it because you're probably never going to get it again. He'll, as soon as the analytics start catching up, that'll leave. Also, there's a lot of shot props in here that I like. Ekblad over shots, Marchand over shots. He's been hitting it like every time and perfectly hitting it too. 2 over every time. Unfortunately, it's super juicy, so you probably want to parlay it with something. And if you want to parlay with something, I had one in Tampa Bay. Point over 1.5 shots is minus 200. So parlay the 2, and I think that's pretty likely. Unfortunately, your parlay, you did that last night and it didn't work out for you, did it? But I can't see Point not getting over 1.5 shots, and I cannot also see. So I think if you parlay those 2, you're doing pretty well there. But I got lots of shot props, of course, Bennett points and all of that. Hit me up at Perlo's NHL POW, and I'll send you a community link where you can get in and grab all that stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. The Sam Bennett, it's the best bet in this game, in my opinion, is definitely Sam Bennett to get a point. He's just a playoff performer. He's gotten a point in all 3 games so far, no question. For Tampa Bay, by the way, I would look at Nick Paul and Anthony Cirelli and Nick Paul. Believe it or not, from goal scorer prop standpoint, they're both really good prices to score goals. Even Cirelli, who at times has been more in that 200 range, but we're seeing him now. It's probably because they're on the road and they're against a really good Florida team, but you can get plus 440 for a guy like Anthony Cirelli, and we know how good he is at playoff time and how he can sometimes step up and score big goals. And Nick Paul, who got a goal as well in Game 3, plus 525. I mean, there's some really good, juicy value goal props, especially on the Tampa Bay side here in this game that are probably worth a look here as well. And you know what I'm also going to take, because I'm just looking at it right now. The first 3 games, not only has Florida scored the first goal, but you look at Game 3, they scored it at 2:43 of the first period. Game 2, they scored 4:15 into the first period, Nate Schmidt's goal. Game 1, it was Sam Bennett, 3:44 into the first period. And that's got me looking at the goal in the first 10 minutes for Florida, plus 175. It's a great price. It's worth it. They have scored, obviously, in the first 10 minutes of all 3 games in this series. Hell, the first 5 minutes of all 3 games of this series, the Florida Panthers. So to get plus 175 with the Florida Panthers to score in the first 10 minutes, I think that's definitely worth a shot as well. All right, let's go to the late game tonight. Colorado, Dallas. Series tied 2-2. We've got Colorado minus 140, road favorites, 6 the total, pretty much across the board here in this game. Colorado, thought you'd get a big boost from them in Game 3 when Gabe Landeskog came back. The emotion of the night, and really that game, Dallas took the air out of the sails of the Avs and the building early. They played a really good early game. Colorado really didn't, lay it on like they did in Game 4. Dallas hung around and ended up winning that game, of course, in overtime with the Seguin goal set up by Marchment and a great play by Mikko Rantanen in the neutral zone. And then I thought in Game 4, I think Dallas is going to get one hell of a punch thrown at them by Colorado, but I didn't expect it to be that severe of a punch. I mean, it was just Colorado just dominated. And in the second period in particular, it was ugly for the Dallas Stars. And it's 7 or 8-0 in that hockey game in Game 4, if not for Jay Ottinger. Just was absolutely spectacular in that second period. DeBoer gives him, a break. I'm not subjecting my goaltender to this nonsense anymore. The way we played in that second period puts Casey DeSmith and it was nonsense. Like I know Colorado was certainly going to play one hell of a game with their backs. They can't afford to be down 3-1 going back to Dallas, but Dallas still to get outplayed to that level is just, ridiculous in that second period. But give Colorado credit. And then in the third period, it really didn't change. Colorado just took over, dominated the third period too, ended up winning that game, obviously, and tying up the series as it shifts now to Dallas 4-0 with that Game 4 win. Now the question coming in was, when's Dallas going to play the Miro Heiskanen card? Because we know he's skating. We know his return is definitely around the corner, but it will not be tonight. Dallas not going to rush him back. They're going to be careful. And that's the smart thing to do. I feel if you're Dallas, bring him back when you're facing elimination. Bring him back when you're facing elimination. And I think that's probably going to be the plan potentially for Dallas when it comes to Heiskanen, but it won't be tonight. So pretty much it'll be status quo up front and on the blue line. Granlund, Hintz, Rantanen, Marchment, Duchesne, Seguin, Ben, Johnston, Dodonov, Oscar Beck, Sam Steele, Colin Blackwell, and then on the blue line, Harley Labushkin, Lindell Ceci, Bischel, and Petrovic. Looking like that's going to be your 6 on the blue line here for the Dallas Stars tonight. I'm going to grab Dallas tonight, plus 120. I think they're going to have a good response. Home dog price value, in my opinion. It's a series where you can make a big deal, obviously, that Colorado has led a vast majority of this game. They led all of Game 1 pretty much. Game 2, Dallas really, didn't lead until they won it in overtime. And you could say the same thing about Game 3. There's no question. Game 4, obviously Colorado dominated. But when you lose like that, and just get absolutely just annihilated, really. And 4-0's kind to Dallas, quite honestly, in Game 4. I'd expect a good response. Mikey did point out, our good friend of the show, that we've only seen one other team shut out so far in the playoffs, and that was Tampa Bay in Game 2 when they lost 2-0 to Florida. They bounced back, and they won 5-1 in Game 3. So the one team that got shut out in the Stanley Cup playoffs so far was Tampa Bay. They bounced back off that shutout loss and won 5-1 in Florida. I'm not saying Dallas is going to obviously win 5-1 tonight, but I expect Dallas, and I think there's value with Dallas here at plus 120. And obviously, I like Dallas to score in the first period. We're talking about that angle, off the loss. I do think that's a strong first 20 minutes from the Stars. So that I like the most, is Dallas to score in the first period, that angle. And you're getting them here at around, again, with the price currently sitting at around, let me just see here. Yeah,
minus $1.05.
Yeah.
Minus $1.05 at MGM. Just first goal of the game.
Oh, first goal of the game. Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, that's a good price. I think that might
first
be
goal of
worth
the game at MGM is minus 105, and then first goal in first period plus 135. So
yeah, there you go. I'm just being even safer and willing to lay the minus 150, 55 with just first period goal for the Dallas Stars. But like I said, you could take a shot with that first goal of the game for sure. And I'm gonna be stubborn here. I know we saw 2 unders in Game 3 and 4, 2 full game unders, although Game 4 did go over in the first period because it was 2-0 Avs after the first period. But I'm going to go back to an old friend. Hello, my old friend. I've come to bet on you again. And you know what that is? System play. Team off a shutout loss over by Fekta. We've seen it once in the playoffs. Tampa. What happened in Game 3? Tampa, Florida. With Tampa off a shutout loss. First period over, winner. Full game over, winner. That was, the full game over was definitely a little tight around the collar. It wasn't easy, but it still went over the total. And now Dallas, for the second time in these playoffs, the system plays in effect. First period over, full game over. Like I said, my old friend, come to bet on you again. Let's give it a shot. It's 1-0 in the playoffs. System play. Remember that? Team off, it went in the tank after 4 Nations, but it was just automatic before 4 Nations. Off a shutout loss. You bet the first period over, full game over. I'm going to give that a whirl tonight. Colorado, Dallas, first period over, full game over, with Dallas coming off the shutout loss against Colorado. Hope you enjoyed the Simon and Garfunkel, by the way. Alex, what do you think here? Colorado, Dallas.
Yeah, this should be an interesting one. And like I said, it's going to be imperative for Dallas to get on the board early. Those are the 2 plays that I've already made today. Was Dallas, like I said, to score the first goal, I get minus $1.05, but Dallas first goal the first period plus 135. So going a little bit extra with that spot. It's imperative to get that crowd behind them, get the momentum just back on their side, actually have a lead for longer than a minute in the series. That all those things would be good, positive vibes for Dallas moving forward in the series. But everything else I would look for in game, even though over by factor, like I said, it's the system plays in effect. But especially with a total of 6, we try and grab a -5.5. I'd rather lay 135 to grab a 5.5 than say lay 150 to just get Dallas to score in the first period overall. So that's just how I'm just justifying it, price shopping wise. 1.5 at 120, I can wait and try and grab that at plus money a couple of minutes into the contest, especially if I'm seeing pace from both teams. So definitely good live betting games. I think this will be a fun one to watch. Like I said, this has been a very entertaining series, and I think Dallas gets on the board first.
There you go. And by the way, the full game over, I have the first period over bet, the pregame bet, and the full game over, but it's 5.5 minus 145 at DraftKings is what I took with the full game over. And I only took it small. The thought process is maybe add to the 5.5 and get plus money if we get just even a few minutes of scoreless hockey in the first period and really get a better price on that. Definitely targeting even more on the over 5.5. Just a small pregame bet, more of it when we get plus money, hopefully, on over 5.5 at some point during the first period of this game. Perlo, what do you think here? Big game, 2-2, obviously, in the series. Game 5, Avs Stars.
This is a tough game, that's for sure.
It is.
I'm actually leaning the Avalanche here. I just can't. Every time I look at that defense for Dallas, little puke comes up in my mouth. It's just too hard to back a team with CC and Lyabushkin and that in the back end there. And now you're asking Ottinger basically to do the same thing he did in a game where they lost 4-0. And now he's got to play a really tight, probably a tight game today. Because Dallas is definitely going to be putting every effort they can here.
Dallas has heart. Dallas has guts.
Yeah,
Dallas has resolve.
everything.
And they're a home pooch. And that's why I'm leaning that. I get it. Colorado can absolutely win this game. And I think there's a chance they do win this game and ultimately win this series.
The value's probably on Dallas.
But the value's on Dallas. They got heart, they got guts, and they're a home pooch. To me, that's total value.
Yeah, the value's on Dallas for sure. So what I did here, I like the over for first. I do like the over. I don't think I'd like the over more than I have this game. Because what I think is going to happen here mostly is Dallas is going to probably it's probably going to be a live over that it would be a best bet here. Because Dallas is going to play their best in the first period. They're going to play super hard on the stick. They're going to be trying to beat Colorado to every corner. So I like that Dallas first period. I'm thinking this is going to be like 4-3, 5-3 Colorado, and most of the goals are scored by Colorado in the third period. I think Dallas pooches out in the third. But I do think it's highly unlikely that Dallas doesn't pot 3 here. I like Dallas team total over 2.5, even though it's a juicy -150. I'm going to throw a little on that with the over and a little bit on the draw. I'm not doing anything with Colorado pregame. I'm hoping you guys are right, and I'm going to take Dallas to score in the first period, of course. I hope they get the first one, and then I'm going to live bet Colorado depending on what I see. That's basically what I'm going with this one. The first period over, I'm not sure I'm so high on that. I could see Dallas being up 1-0 in the first period, and then they come back. And then Colorado starts to come back and wears them down, and by the third period takes the game. That's kind of how I feel this is going to go. So I'm going to do that Dallas score in the first period just in case it is 1-1. And I think Dallas can pot 3 here. I'm going to do that -150. I'm going to take the over 6 then I might live bet Colorado team total over 3.5. That's what I might do here. I might live bet them top team total over 3.5. That's what my view is going into the game, but I wish this was a bet cast, because if I see something different, this is one of those games that I see something different, you can live bet like crazy for this game. If Dallas is still holding up in the second or third, you can live bet Dallas. If Colorado looks like they're taking over the play, you can live bet Colorado. That's kind of where I'm going with this. But pregame, that's how I envision it. So I'm going to go with those. The biggest bet, I think, is going to be on the over in this game. I haven't really bet super high on overs in this series, but I really think this is going over 6.
Yeah, I get it. I feel like the under. I get why, but I think when I see the chances that Ottinger was saving, like just incredible chances that needed just remarkable, spectacular goaltending. Anything less than spectacular from the goaltender, and there's way more goals, especially for Colorado in that game. And if those chances are generated tonight, I think there's more chance they go in. And yes, we definitely do, Todd. We bet more overs than unders, but I will tell you this. I'll throw this back at you: 10-1. Run for overs, for full game overs here in the Stanley Cup playoffs entering tonight. It's been 10-1 to the over since Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday combined. 10-1 run to the over.
And
so
this is
really. If you watch me in the
well,
regular season, I'm more of an under better than anything. But I've been burnt with unders this year more than anything. If you're an over better, you're doing better this year in the playoffs.
And historically, this is the swan song for overs. This first round is where you tend to see the most overs during the playoffs, and then things rapidly change to unders once we get by the middle of the second round, and certainly in the conference finals. So
yeah,
10-1 run. I mean, it's just been absolutely like I said, just a crazy run of overs here. We'll see if it continues. I don't love the over in the first game. I'll tell you that right now. Tampa and Florida. I think that's a tough total. And it only barely, got over the total in game 3 with the Lightning and the Panthers. This one I like a little bit more with Colorado, Dallas tonight. And
I didn't love the over in any of the games in Tampa Bay, Florida, but they just seem to find a way to go over. So
it's just except game 2 where Florida really locked it down and got that 2-0 win when we had the bet first bet. That was the one. But like I said, I think in this game here, Colorado, Dallas, I'm going to ride that old system, and the system play is 1-0. It's undefeated in the Stanley Cup playoffs. First period full game over did hit for Tampa off the shutout loss in game 3. We'll see if it happens again here for Dallas tonight in game 5. But that's a great game. Mason Marchment, 2 games in a row, by the way. He's gone over 1.5 shots. It's a reasonable price. Something to consider here. Brock Nelson had his best game by far, I think, as a Colorado Avalanche player, let alone just the playoffs. He was great in game 4. He got a point. He's plus 145 to get a point. That's pretty good value. Landeskog with that magic moment, first goal back in the NHL. Now he's got, plus 100 to get a point. Still bargain bin worthy, plus 310 to get a goal. He was my bargain bin pick. He isn't tonight, but certainly don't mind taking a shot with that. Logan O'Connor scored last game. He's plus 850 for the Colorado Avalanche. As far as Dallas, Marchment, Duchesne, and Sagan have great chemistry. Can't talk anyone out of that. I always think Jamie Benn for Dallas when they're off a loss like that, shutout loss, ugly game, completely and utterly dominated by Colorado in game 4. Just couldn't get anything going in the second and the third period. Often when I see that, I think Jamie Benn's the guy to respond after a loss like that, the captain. So maybe you look at Jamie Benn potentially here tonight for the Dallas Stars as far as goal prop, assist prop, point prop, anything like that. Rantanen, Hintz, and I don't know. I kind of feel with Granlund, who's had 4 shots in the last 3 games, him to get a point's worth a shot here, in my opinion, tonight for the Dallas Stars. Let me see if you want to be safer. I don't even mind a goal sprinkle, but if you want to be safer with Michael Granlund and just go with him to record a point, which is plus 130, I think he is tonight. I just got a sense. He is shooting the puck. He's up there, obviously, on that top unit. So maybe a Michael Granlund look for a point prop at the very least for Dallas tonight. All right, there you have it. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. We're looking forward to Thursday night. What a Thursday night this is shaping up to be for our next Patreon exclusive live betcast. Are you kidding me? 3 elimination games, 3 game 6s coming up Thursday night. Doesn't get much better than that. Vegas, Minnesota, Dallas, Colorado, LA, Edmonton, and we still might get Toronto, Ottawa if the Senators find a way to extend the series on Tuesday night. So it's going to be a great Patreon exclusive live betcast Thursday night, May the 1st. Start time to be determined. The only way to watch that betcast and join us on the stream is to become a Patreon member, $10 per month. Make sure you sign up at patreon.com/iceguys. You get goalie charts, totals charts, our daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. And of course, access to all remaining live betcasts throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs that are Patreon exclusive, including the one this Thursday. So make sure you check it out, and your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Today is the last day. You have until midnight Eastern tonight to save 20% off on all items in the store. Hit on the redeem button at the homepage, add your items to the cart. 20% will be available taken out at checkout. So this is also a last call for some of the items in the store. I'll be posting more about that on the Twitter page at _IceGuys, but there'll be some items that we will be taking out within the next couple of weeks. So it'll be a last call, so I will be posting that. But definitely want to take advantage of that. We've got deals coming all in May as well. So great time to shop the Ice Guys store. That's iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Check out the Ice Guys store, the last day to take advantage of that offer. And, draw. I forgot to mention that with Colorado Dallas. Did sprinkle on the draw there, plus 324, the price that I got with that. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page.
Hey, Ian, I got to tell you about this app I've been using lately called Kalshi. Kalshi.com. Did you know it's the only place where you can trade on March Madness in all 50 U.S. states?
I have heard about this, actually. Kalshi is the first and only legal prediction market that lets you trade on real-world events with the look and feel of stock trading, whether it's who will win elections, who will win the Grammy or Oscar awards, or what the price of Bitcoin will hit this year. You can bet you trade on just about anything on Kalshi.
With over 1 million users across all 50 states and over $1 billion worth of trades, Kalshi is an absolute game changer. And with March Madness coming to a close, baseball about to get in the full swing, playoffs on the horizon in hockey and basketball, now's the time to sign up to trade with Kalshi today.
Sign up at kalshi.com/iceguys, and the first 500 traders to join and trade 100 contracts, you will get a free $10 credit added to your account. So don't miss out on all the action. Join Kalshi today at kalshi.com/iceguys. That's kalshi.com/iceguys. Shout out to all our great sponsors, Boston Hemp Inc. Make sure you check them out. 20% off using the promo code at bostonhempinc.com and kalshi.com/iceguys. Make sure you check out the great trading platform, more than just sports. All right, we got bargain bin special of the night. Figured I was going to go 0-2 yesterday. Should have known after 2-0 on Saturday. Sometimes what goes up must come back down. Alex, what do you like here for bargain bin special?
Yeah, let's go to Sunrise, Florida. You got the Tampa Bay taking on the Panthers, and I think this is a great value price. We're talking about looking at, when you have a team that's trailing 2-1, you need your top players to get everything in line. I'm going with Jake Gensel to get over 1.5 points. You can get that plus 330 at FanDuel. So Gensel to get 2 or more points, plus 330. That is my bargain bin special for tonight.
All right, Jake Gensel, Tampa Bay, over 1.5 points for a bargain bin special of the night for Alex B. Smith. Perlo, what do you like here for bargain bin special?
I'm going to the Florida game, and I'm actually surprised. I'm double checking to make sure this is the case. They're putting Evan Rodriguez up there on the second line with Bennett and Matthew Tkachuk. And he's not really the best goal. He does pot a goal every once in a while, but he quite often gets assists, whether it's from rebounds or just
solid in the playoffs last year for them. I remember he got chances. Yep, yeah, he'd convert. Yep.
You can get it at plus for an assist plus 320, or 310, I think it is on DK. So I think with playing with Bennett the way he's been putting up points. You got Tkachuk on that side there. I think he could get an assist by mistake there. So I'm going to take Rodriguez to get an assist. And I got one more. I'm going to go back to my old friend Marchment to get a goal there in Dallas. Feels like that type of game for him to pot one. So you can get him at plus 335.
All right, there you go. A pair of bargain bin specials here for Perlo on this Monday NHL slate. For bargain bin special of the night for me, there's definitely some good choices. I'm going to go with a man I mentioned in the Colorado-Dallas game. Plus 440, FanDuel, Michael Granlund. I don't know why. He's on the top line, and he's had some shots on goal in the last 3 games and a couple good chances. Plus 440. This is more of a gut feel than any, big-time streak or tendency to produce offensively. But I feel Michael Granlund maybe gets one tonight. And I like that price. Plus 440. And he is up on the top line for the Dallas Stars. Plus 440. We're going to take Michael Granlund for the Dallas Stars for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets for this Monday. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, I'm going to trust that a veteran team, knowing how to play playoff hockey on the road to get the goal in the first to start things off. So it's Tampa Bay Lightning. First goal in the first period, plus 155 available at FanDuel. That's my best bet.
All right, there we go. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Perlo, what do you like here for best bet?
I got 2 props today. First one I mentioned earlier, you can't find better value because he's been hurt. They don't have a number on him. I'm taking Ekblad over 1.5 block shots at plus 100. I think that's some of the best value you can see out of block shot prop for a guy who plays top line, plays penalty kill, plays everything. I think he could accidentally get that. And I'm going with McKinnon over 3.5 shots at minus 145. I just 48. Sorry. I can't see how he doesn't get 4 shots in that game. So I'll take both of those.
All right. Good stuff. My best bet. You don't see this often. I'm going with a rare player prop best bet because I truly think it is the best bet on this 2-game Monday slate. And we already mentioned him, Mr. Playoffs himself
Bennett.
For the Florida Panthers. You got it. Sam Bennett to get a point, plus 115. He's gotten a point in all 3 games. Look at what he did as far as point production in the playoffs last year for Florida. He has just been involved in a lot of what Florida's done offensively so far in this series. So that to me is best bet worthy. And normally I don't go that way with a player prop, but he's been that good for the Panthers. It's a 3-game point streak to begin the playoffs. Let's take Sam Bennett, Florida Panthers, to get a point. Plus 115 for my best bet here for this Monday NHL card. That's a wrap. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And again, BetCast coming up Thursday. We really can't wait. That's going to be exciting with the 3 games coming up. Game 6s, all elimination games. It'll be a great BetCast coming up on Thursday night. We're definitely looking forward to that. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast if you can't watch the show live. And if anybody's concerned about me, I'm fine based on my my rant earlier in the show. We're all good. It's all good. We got it out of our system. We're feeling good now. For Alex B. Smith and Perlo, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll be back with you tomorrow on Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.